I decided I needed to limit my games FPS to 30 FPS for Android devices. I know that it may sound ridiculous because all of the games now these days are like we are uh, targeting 120 FPS, 60 FPS, and none of them are talking like 30 is what we want. But in my case, this is what I had to do because the more FPS you want to render, the more GPU is going to work, and the more it works, it's like it gets more hot, and then the performance will just gradually get worse every time. You load up the game, you try to play the game for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, your device is so hot, and the performance just gets worse and worse with time. So this is like 30 FPS, and I have an option for it. If you go into the graphics settings, you have to disable the auto graphics, and you have the option for frame rate limit. High and medium are 30 FPS. I wanted to give the players the option for 60 FPS for high frame rate limit, but I think that's not a good idea because even on my Galaxy S23 Ultra, 30 FPS is the peak of FPS I want to have in my phone. 60 doesn't make so much of a difference, but it definitely makes the cell phone way too hot to be playable. I mean, it gets hot, for the performance is just stable, but it's just I'm talking about a monstrous cell phone out there. For normal phones, it is definitely a problem. Medium 30 FPS, low on the other hand is 20 or 25, I have to double check, FPS, so it's definitely less. So let's see what low looks like. This is what low looks like. Okay, how I did it, you may ask. You have an option in project settings. If you don't know how to go there, just edit project settings and then type in frame rate. And then you have an option called smooth frame rate or use fixed frame rate. You can just go ahead and just fix the frame rate. Like every time you open the engine, you have a fixed frame rate and it never changes. I didn't use this. I'm just smoothing out the frame rate. What I used though was a console command. Like it's let me show you. I have to find it. It's in my third-person character, and this is what I have. So it's 20 FPS for low. T.max FPS. So if you type in max FPS, you have T.max FPS, and right now I want 120 for my screen because every time you open up the game, every time you do this, execute this console command in your game, you change the whole max frame rate in the engine. So when you work on blueprints on everything, on shaders specifically, the frame rate is definitely lower than what you're used to. Okay, so now at high it's at 30, medium 30, and low 20. And this is the best way that I could handle GPU getting too hot because, well, it's Android. There are a lot of different devices out there, and I couldn't find anything else. And to be honest, 30 FPS looks really good. It looks smooth, it looks stable, because when you're locking everything, FPS was unlocked, so sometimes it could have been 80, sometimes it could have been 35. You get the idea. 35 is not what we're looking for. 80 is not what we're looking for. We're looking for 30, 60, 120, which we can't ever achieve it in any case. So the best way to handle it is to just limit it at 30. No screen tear. Everything is just really good, and people don't really realize it that well because with no cap frame rate, sometimes their frame rate is at 60, sometimes it's lagging because it's trying to achieve that 60, 70 FPS, which is really high, and it's not really achievable on mobile devices. And this is it. I hope it helps someone. And if you're looking for optimizing your game, just keep in mind you're working on mobile, and you don't really need to target too high, and it's not a PC game. You don't really need to have your game run at 120 FPS. That's not possible. Have a great day. Bye.